Hello, welcome back to a brand new episode of the 13th Man podcast. It's Shane alongside Frank. I hope you're all having a wonderful week. And it's been a relatively quiet week in the CFL with free agency looming about a week and a half away. What do you think of it, Frankie?
A couple interesting storylines so far. I'm following the Nick Arbuckle one pretty closely, Shane. That article that was released, I believe it was released in French, so I don't know if you read it or not. Essentially said that Nick Arbuckle's agent doesn't believe there's any reason he'd want to leave Ottawa at this point, and I think obviously, but it's going to be interesting to see what happens because Matt Nichols and the Argos seem to be far apart in a deal as well. So, could Nick Arbuckle end up being an Argonaut after all?
No, I don't think so. I think he started to get roots here. I would be more surprised that he leaves Ottawa than anything.
Well, I would be too, and it makes you wonder what is going on with these two guys, because what exactly do they expect to happen?
I mean, it could literally just be a wait till the final hour kind of thing where, like, it doesn't really matter when it gets done. You know what's going to get done.
But what benefit is that to the player at this point, right?
Could just be waiting to see where the dominoes fall in terms of getting other players re-signed.
But that's the thing, is Jeremiah Masoli went back today. Fajardo's got a restructured deal. Like everybody else.
But here's the thing, though.
It's literally only those two.
Here's the thing, though, is that he would still be in Ottawa, wouldn't he? He signed a 2-year deal. So he would still technically be with Ottawa.
They will cut him before they are due to pay his bonuses, because that's what the issue is right now.
I mean, if that's the case, then that's the case. But it's not like Ottawa needs to restructure the deal. They could just say, screw it, we're going to pay the bonuses, or
they could, but for all intents and purposes, you have to assume that they're not doing that.
Oh, I agree. But I'm just saying, I'm not worrying too much about it, because technically Ottawa, like, Masoli was a free agent.
Yes.
So it's different circumstances. Yeah, Fajardo was great, but technically, unless Arbuckle is cut, I'm not worried about him not being in Ottawa.
Well, I mean, obviously, but they're not going to pay that. So, for all intents and purposes, he is a free agent right now. It's about coming to an agreement on what the money's going to look like this upcoming year. And he signed, what, a 3-year deal, I believe?
It was only a 2.
It was a 2, whatever it was. I would assume that we're going to get a 1-year deal with him.
Maybe. I'm pretty sure, like, Vernon Adams and Fajardo restructured 2-year deals, didn't they?
They did, but I don't know. Just it doesn't feel like we're going to get a long-term agreement with either him or Matt Nichols, just based on the length of time it's taking. Is it going to be? I feel like it's going to be one of those deals where they're just trying to get to the season after. You know what I mean? Because the cut that the Red Blacks are reportedly asking him to take is apparently quite hefty.
I mean, how hefty is quite hefty?
It would make him among the league's highest pay cut players at quarterback.
But okay, so that's asking him to take what? Because he was making what, 300,000 or 400,000?
Something like that. It would be way down. And I don't know what the exact number is, but I believe from what I heard around I believe 3 Down Nation released something that said it was like a 50%. I could be wrong about that, but it's a ridiculous amount. Oh, Shane, we lost you.
Cool.
I
mean, it's bound to happen. I'm not overly worried about it, honestly. I think, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. If Arbuckle wants to be here, he's going to take a pay cut, because he's not going to get big money elsewhere either.
No. Well, that's what you have to look at, because everybody else has their quarterback except for Toronto.
But how much is he? How much? If they're asking Nichols to take a pay cut, You know, they're not going to spend money to bring in Arbuckle if they're asking Nichols to take a pay cut.
Well, I mean, it's kind of just looking at the situation too. He just had Nick Arbuckle just had his kid. They just moved into Ottawa. This is the place they picked because they wanted to raise their family here, as opposed to some other places around the league. It just doesn't make sense for him to want to go to Toronto at this point after all of that. And I don't know. Do we think Toronto's a better football team than Ottawa right now to even make that more enticing?
No, and I mean the only reason why you would go is because of Dinwiddie. But no, I think overall, if you're Arbuckle, you're staying in Ottawa. Like, how much money would Toronto be willing to give you anyways? So like,
yeah, I don't know. Just like the whole situation, right? Ottawa's a team that paid you the money. They brought you in. They gave up the first overall pick to come get you. They made you their starting quarterback. They told you essentially you're our next Henry Burris. You have to be. So the situation's kind of golden for him in Ottawa. So I don't know. Are you still laughing about a do-rag over there?
yeah.
Who's got the do-rag on now?
Who do you think has?
Oh, yeah, we lost you again. But I'm going to assume the do-rag went on the cat. No cat. What a shame. Oh, Shane is clearly having some big time issues with that microphone tonight, eh?
It drains the friggin' batteries like no tomorrow because of how. So, but I mean, they're also Walmart batteries, so I can't complain too much. They were like $5
Dude,
for a
what are
pack
you
of like
talking
20.
about? Walmart is quality stuff. Okay, don't ever
It was
talk
like
bad
$6
about Walmart.
for a friggin' 20 pack of batteries for like a great value brand, or like $20 for a pan like for Energizer. And I'm like, fuck it, I'm gonna go through so many of these anyways that like I'm just gonna get the great value brand. Like I don't care.
This is why, and this is in my experience, you got to get the stuff that you're able to plug in the charging cable, right? And you got to run off of that and completely because the batteries burn through them and they burn a hole in your wallet ridiculously.
Yeah, that's for sure. But like I don't know, I just found the first batteries that I could. I'm not gonna spend $20 on a pair like a 20 pack of like AA or AAA batteries when I'm gonna need to buy them every month.
Yeah. Okay. How do we want to do this today? Because we're going to talk about free agency and what's left for teams to re-sign. Because free agency is what? February 8th? 9th. One of the days I didn't say. Okay, cool.
I literally messaged you the other day asking.
I know. I forgot. Okay, leave me alone. Do we want to go through team by team, or do you want to start with any team in particular? What do you want to do?
Let's go against Hamilton. Let's start with
where are they on this list? There they are.
Amazing, beautiful Ticats.
Come on, man! They got to sign our boy Aaron Crawford. We got to get our long snapper in there.
They probably will. You know who retired the other day and it kind of went unnoticed?
Who?
Shane Bergman.
Oh.
Offensive tackle, left tackle for Calgary. Retired yet because he's not on social media. Or he's on like a private account on Twitter.
Yep.
Yeah, he went like 2 days ago. He retired after 10 seasons with Calgary after being drafted, or 7 seasons in Calgary after being drafted in the 6th round of the 2013 CFL draft.
So they got quite the hole to fill there now.
Yep.
Yeah, that's they haven't re-signed many people at all. But okay. Look, you said we were going to start at Hamilton. And then you jumped to Calgary instantly.
Sorry. Well, no, I mean, I jumped to Calgary because there was retirement news, and he's one of my favorite, linemen. Like, if Dennis wasn't with Calgary, if he ended up playing on another team, to start his career, and then where he was before in 2019, I probably would have got a Bergman jersey, honestly.
Okay. Well, that's a big hit for them. How do they replace that exactly?
Next man up mentality.
It's going to have to be. Unless I don't know who in free agency you'd end up signing to replace that.
If I remember correctly, they signed a free agent out of I want to say Sean McEwen. I feel like that's wrong.
Did they sign him?
I think so. Yeah.
That'll help out a little bit.
So he's probably the most logical choice to switch over from the right guard tackle position to the left guard.
Yeah. I don't know. I think Ottawa has a couple of guys that they could think about bringing in as well. I know they just signed Mark Corte.
I like how we said we're going to start with Hamilton and have done any.
And we're all over the place. We just essentially okay. Look, let's do Hamilton. Let's do that.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be a 13th man episode without some sort of issues.
Yeah, well, that's just kind of how things are at this point. We talked about Aaron Crawford a little bit. Our boy, had him on for an episode. That would be cool to see him back there. He's been there for a long time. So
yeah, I mean, looking at who they re-signed though, Michael Daly, Jagarrett Davis, Jalen Acklin, Brandon Banks, Justin Herdman Reed,
Jackson available.
Bennett. John Jackson, Simone Lawrence, Jalen Marshall, Mazzoli, Maldini.
Which that kind of surprised me, by the way. I thought Mazzoli would certainly be on the move. I honestly felt like Jeremiah Mazzoli and either the Red Blacks or the Argos were going to be natural.
I mean, after coming, he's on the other side of 30, coming off major ACL surgery, hasn't played in like everyone else hasn't played in a year and a half. Like he hasn't played in a year, but he hasn't played in almost 2 years because of that injury. Going back to Hamilton. He looks like Bruce Garriock.
Look, Nick, I want to say this. My beard is in the same spot the New York Rangers are, the trash can.
He looks like Bruce Garriock.
He doesn't know who Bruce Garriock is. Come on.
True. But, yeah, looking at who they brought back, like crazy.
They're still, they got a bunch of guys that are difference makers that they haven't re-signed. Frankie Williams, DeVere Posey, Rico Murray is one that I look at and would love a reunion.
I thought Rico Murray re-signed.
Not according to the CFO's free agency tracker.
Oh.
Patrick Levels.
Which isn't surprising.
Justin Herdman Reed. There is Mike Filer, Larry Dean, and Aaron Crawford, of course. So a bunch of names that.
Going back to Mazzoli, you're going back to a team that knows your history, give you a chance at a starting role. What other team in the league would be willing to take a chance on you to start? No other team outside of Ottawa and Toronto.
Is he the starter there? I don't think he is.
He might. I don't think you commit to a starter going into camp. And I think that's the point. BC has a starter. Calgary has a starter. Edmonton has a starter. Montreal, Saskatchewan, Winnipeg, they all have their starters. Until Arbuckle and Nichols kind of figure their stuff out with Ottawa, Toronto, every team has their starting quarterback outside of Hamilton. Because they have
been super interested in him. It is the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. As good as Zach Collaros can be, can he be a good quarterback an entire season? I don't think my answer is
he's done it. He led Hamilton to a Grey Cup.
When was the last time he stayed healthy for an entire season?
I mean, that's different. That staying healthy and then being a starting quarterback are two different things.
I think Jeremiah Mazzoli is about to be the best backup quarterback football may have ever seen.
Well, him and Dane Evans, 100%.
I think Evans is going to get that spot, by the way.
maybe. I mean, but the thing is, though, is that he doesn't go into any other camp without even a shot of being a starter. If he goes to Winnipeg, Collaros is already you've already committed to Collaros as your starter. You go to Montreal, Adams is your committed starter. You don't.
Honestly, I don't know about that Zach Collaros thing.
I do.
I think Matt Nichols was let go because they tried it repeatedly and it never worked.
And he was injury prone. You want to talk about injury prone? Matt Nichols is injury prone.
Yep.
But Collaros has shown that if he's healthy, he can bring you to a Grey Cup. He can win you a Grey Cup, and you've given him the money to be your starter.
Yeah, well, part of the thing that made that team work so well last year was Chris Streveler. And
not really.
But having the ability to put him in the game and having a run game as dominant as they did really kind of let Zach Collaros do what he needed to do. Because if you look at what won them a Grey Cup, not the quarterback play was very.
The quarterback play was good.
But it wasn't the reason they won a Grey Cup. The reason they won a Grey Cup was because they could run the ball down your throat whenever they wanted to.
Okay, but Ottawa didn't win a Grey Cup because of Henry Burris's play, honestly.
In that game?
He won MVP, but we didn't win that game. I mean, okay, yeah, we won it technically because we won it on a passing touchdown. But we forget that, Abdul Kanay made a shoelace tackle against Barkley.
He did.
Putting it so technically.
No, I think that's different though, because right now you're talking about your defense stepping up and making a big play. The difference in the Winnipeg Blue Bombers offense is that the quarterback isn't the most important part of it.
No, but he's still if your running game is the most important part, especially in the CFL, you're going to have success in the air.
Yes, well, that's how football works.
But okay, in the NFL, you can kind of get away without a run game. Steelers did it for most of the season.
Well, they didn't really get away from it with anything. They kind of came crashing back down to earth as soon as teams realized they could run the football.
Okay, Trevor Harris led Ottawa team.
Yep.
When we couldn't run we had some horrid run games.
Mm-hmm.
Inconsistencies in the backfield. Trevor Harris threw the ball a bunch.
Uh-huh.
You can win in the CFL without a run game.
Yeah, exactly.
It is possible. But I think Collaros, he's been to the Grey Cup twice. I think he's been to the Grey Cup in last decade. He's been to the Grey Cup more times. I think he's the third most outside of Ricky Ray, Henry Burris, and Bo Levi. He's fourth in Grey Cup appearances.
Yep.
So I mean, it's kind of hard to knock the player when he's healthy.
Well, when he's healthy, yes, but the whole thing is how often he's going to be healthy.
You hope that a new training regiment, a better O-line. He didn't get hit a lot when he was there in Winnipeg, so hopefully that continues and that stays the course.
Yeah, well,
because I mean, to be fair, any quarterback that gets hit a bunch is going to end up getting hurt.
Well, that's just the nature of the CFL too. Guys get hurt a lot and very quickly.
It's just so I don't necessarily Mike Riley got a pounding last year, and he ended up missing most of the rest of the season with an injury. Same thing with Bo Levi, and he's been one of the most consistent, healthy players. Trevor Harris, I think Vernon Adams.
Every starting quarterback got injured at one point last year.
Yeah, I think Vernon Adams Vernon Adams and Jake Evans were the only two quarterbacks not to miss significant time. Or Dane Evans, yeah.
Jake Evans is the Canadiens player.
Yeah. They're the only ones to not miss significant time.
Well, if you want to get on a technical level, Vernon Adams Jr. was not the Montreal Alouettes starting quarterback at the beginning of the year. Antonio Pipkin was the only reason that Vernon Adams got his shot was because Pipkin got hurt in the first game.
And the only reason why Dane Evans got his shot was because Mazzoli got hurt.
Uh-huh.
But the only reason why Arbuckle got a shot was because Bo Levi got hurt.
That's part of the thing of a good backup quarterback in the CFL can be the difference between you winning a Grey Cup and not winning one. Right?
Winnipeg had to go out and get a quarterback.
Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. Well, I mean, Chris Streveler was an all right backup quarterback, but you used him too often in different ways for him to be your.
He can't throw the ball more than 20 yards downfield accurately. I think we can all agree that Strebler was not the most accurate passer downfield the CFL has seen.
Well, if you ask Boomer Esiason, that's just because the CFL you can throw the ball down the middle of the field into double coverage and not have it get picked off.
Yeah, well, Boomer is also not the greatest. Like Boomer should just glue his mouth shut sometimes. Like I don't know. I feel like the knock on Collaros being injury prone can be made against Harris and to Mike Riley because they've all suffered injuries. And Mazzoli too. Mazzoli has been injured more often than not. He has been hurt more seasons than he hasn't. So why bring in a guy who's had his own injury problems, coming off a torn ACL, to back up a guy who's had his own injury problems?
Is there a quarterback in the CFL who hasn't had injury problems?
Consistently, yes. Calgary, prime example. Bo Levi's most significant time missed was last season.
So Nick Arbuckle got a starting job because Bo was hurt.
Yeah, and he missed his most time, which I think was like 5 games or 9 games, something like that.
Like this wasn't the first time Bo's been hurt. Like playing all 18 games as a quarterback in the CFL, it never happens.
Oh, it's rare, 100%. Like it's not as common as playing 16 games in the NFL.
Like I said, every single starting quarterback missed time last year with an injury. Every single
But that was
one.
the first time, I'm pretty sure it was like the first time in like league history that it ever that had happened.
No. That happened again 2 years before. So I believe 2017 I believe also happened. All starting quarterbacks missed at least a game with an injury.
No, so I don't think Bo Levi missed any time in 2017.
It may have been 16 then.
Like the only games that Bo Levi has missed, yeah, like Bo Levi has played all 18 games in a season. According to this is off the CFL website. It doesn't say starts, but it says games played. Excluding he became a starter in 2014. So since 2015, he's played all 18 games, according to the CFL stats website outside of 2019. So that's 4 straight years of playing 18 game seasons.
Yeah, well,
like Bo Levi has been the picture of stability and health for quarterbacks in the CFL.
Yeah. Well, even still, right? Like it's not gonna continue like that forever. Eventually, he's gonna get hurt, and that's why having a good backup quarterback is important.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't think going after a guy who's been injury prone like Mazzoli to back up a guy like Collaros is a smart idea. It's like
I also think Mazzoli is a better quarterback.
See, I can't agree with that on there. What has Mazzoli done to show that he's a better when healthy?
Beat Zach Collaros and Hamilton.
He beat an unhealthy Zach. He beat an unhealthy Zach Collaros.
Is there a healthy Zach Collaros anymore? That's my whole question.
I mean, we'll find out. We saw what a healthy Zach Collaros can do last year. He helped win him a Grey Cup.
Well, I agree, but I also I don't know. Jeremiah Mazzoli just seems like a quarterback that is just due. He's going to win something here.
Maybe, but here's the thing: he's never been to the Grey Cup.
No,
Collaros has been to 2 Grey Cups and has won one of them, and arguably should have won. Could have easily beat. Outside, I think it was that block in the back.
Yes,
against Cal. He could have easily had 2 Grey Cups under his belt right now.
Well, I mean, if you want to play that game, Jeremiah Mazzoli could have been going to the Grey Cup if Trevor Harris didn't throw for 7 passing touchdowns in the East Finals that day. He could have went to the Grey Cup last year if he didn't get hurt.
Well, no, you can't say that because he missed so much time.
Well, let's be real. That team was going to the Grey Cup no matter what.
Maybe, but Dane Evans definitely played a part in it. So I think he did. It's hard to say that last year he was going to go to the Grey Cup. Who knows? Maybe last year he doesn't go to the Grey Cup. Maybe last or 2019. Who knows if he gets hurt later on in the season? Dave Evans just doesn't get on the same kind of role, and whatever the case may be. So to be fair, like it's hard to say that he's going to go to the Grey Cup last season after missing basically like all but 3 or 4 games. Yeah. And Collaros he's been to 2 Grey Cups and lost his job because he was hurt. Lost his job in Saskatchewan because he got hurt. If he can stay healthy, Collaros is a better quarterback than Masoli.
Pound for pound, probably, but there's just so much about Jeremiah Masoli's game that excites me. We've spent way too much time talking about this. Let's move on. I want to talk a little bit about some of the other teams. The Montreal Alouettes is another one. They've still got Woody Barron, Mike Benson, John Bowman, Quan Bray, who we still don't know what's really going on with him.
I haven't heard anything.
We'll have to figure that out at some point.
John Bowman doesn't even know if he's going to retire right now.
Yeah.
So that's up in the air.
Malcolm Carter is another guy that you're looking at. Ciante Evans, big-time impact player that's up for grabs right now if he doesn't end up being re-signed. Kevin Fogg, another one of those players who quite notably wants to get back on the field with the CFL team.
Malcolm Carter will probably end up back in Ottawa.
I could see it. You're also looking at guys like Taylor Loeffler and Enoch Muamba. That you could make some impacts around the league. And I think that's about it, other than maybe Terrell Sutton. Adrian Tracy's another guy. And, of course, James Wilder. What's going on with him?
He's retired, so it doesn't even matter.
Technically. But doesn't mean he can't come back. No,
but until he comes back, he's not Montreal's problem. He's probably not. They brought back William Stanback.
Yep.
I don't see Wilder anywhere on their radar. I don't even think if Stanback doesn't go to the NFL, Wilder doesn't get signed by Montreal.
No.
So I'm not even worried about Wilder. I think Wilder's done in the CFL. I think some of those guys that you mentioned could be done in Montreal. They could circle back and kind of see what things are like and where they want to go. I would not be surprised if free agency is relatively quiet.
How much money do these teams really have to spend? And that's one of the questions that I wanted to ask.
It could also be players not willing to commit.
To what? The league as a whole, or to the team for the money they're being offered, or
for the season? They may want to hold out and see how serious the season is. They may not want to go through the troubles of having to wait out a year again or whatever the case may be. So it might be easier for them to, do whatever they're doing on the side, like whatever their job is right now. Keep their phone on and connected and whatever. But if you don't feel 100% confident in the fact that the season's going to start when it's supposed to start, you're not going to sign. You're not going to put your life on pause again or put your current job in jeopardy unless you know for a fact that, there will be a CFL season.
It's fair enough. But, I will say there's a lot of guys that have re-signed at this point. There are some big names that haven't, but most of the team's players that they had to be re-signed for most of the teams are coming back. And to me, that's not really surprising. I think the CFL seems pretty confident they're going to play football in June. And you can kind of start to see a pathway that's going to happen. And I think a lot of these players have bought into that.
Yeah, I think it's kind of funny because before the season, or before Christmas, we talked about it and how we mentioned how, we were worried about players not re-signing. And you mentioned Ottawa, how you were worried that a lot of these guys weren't going to come back, this, that, and the other thing. I'm pretty sure they've brought back the most players on, free agent players out of any team.
There's a lot of guys that are back. you scroll through this list. They had a lot of free agents too, and most of them are back.
It seems like every day they're announcing new signings.
Yeah, and it sounds like it's going to continue as well. There's still some that aren't supposed to be coming back so far, like Avery Williams, who that's a big deal. If you watched any Red Blacks football last year and the year before that, you know that that's a big deal. They kind of do need to bring that guy back. Michael Wakefield currently is unsigned. Don Udamba is unsigned right now. Christoph Mulamba Shimanga is still unsigned as well. Another one of those guys that they brought in last offseason. Jason Lozo Seguin, Ettore Latanzio, both guys that are still unsigned. Evan Johnson is unsigned. Gump Hayes, right? Just Siobhan Hayes, Gump?
I'm not sure.
I believe it is. DeAndre Ferris. John Crockett's a big one.
Yeah. I
And
think
we're still waiting on Kevin Brown.
Yeah, I think Kevin Brown's going to happen. I just, it is what it is. But I think overall, realistically, if you're over 30, I'm pretty sure John Crockett's like 31, is he not?
He's not a young guy in football terms.
Like this, and this is the problem. Because you have guys, Americans especially, that are free agents, you never know what's going to happen. Like in the age and the ratios and the money, it could literally just not be worth it for some of these American players.
Mm-hmm.
He's 28, well, again, so he'll be 20. He'll be 29, so he's not actually over 30.
But so, by running back terms, that's not young.
No, I mean he's getting up there in age for a running back. But again, he's American, and we all know the money doesn't translate necessarily the greatest from Canadian to American, taxes and whatnot. He might just not find it worth it.
Yep. And I'm just trying to see here if they brought back any other running backs so far. It doesn't look like they have, to be honest with you. But I think he may have been the only one. Oh, Timothy Flanders as well. But I think they wanted to use him more as a gadget role.
I mean, they brought back Anthony Coombs, which is huge.
Yeah, but he's another one of those guys they want to use as a gadget, and I've heard that he's going to be a receiver.
That's the thing, is that they were expecting him to fill in, get more reps at receiver. Mm-hmm. But here's the thing. If you have these utility guys who can – and this is the problem with John Crockett, Anthony Coombs is very much like him. So is losing John Crockett a deal? Yes. Is it the biggest deal when you have a guy like Anthony Coombs, Timothy Flanders, Brendan Gallanders in that backfield core already?
And Gallanders is Canadian as well, right?
Yeah, and so is Coombs. So you have some ratio breakers there. I am not concerned about Ottawa's running game right now. If Crockett comes back, that's great. But with the guys they have and with the guys that are currently signed, I'm not worried.
And Ottawa's had a fantastic offseason so far, too, I got to say. Once they get Nick Arbuckle done and they kind of start to shape out their roster and free agency, it's going to be nice. Like, they just brought back Lewis Ward, Richie Leone. They've brought back they've got – sorry. I'm trying to scroll through this list here a little bit.
They brought back Richie Leone. They brought back their entire
Dominic Davis was another one that I really liked as a backup quarterback. Marco Dubois, Avery Ellis was big. Randall Evans happened a couple days ago. Gerard Fernandez was big.
Here's something.
RJ Harris.
We can talk about Ottawa all we want, but we still have to talk about Toronto. Mm-hmm. And the reason why I'm going to bring up Toronto, they have some very big players, very big names coming
Chris
up. Chris Aki, Natia J are two of them. Jawan Breskison has re-signed.
Yep.
They have like Alden, Aiden Darby and whatnot. My biggest, they have a small list. They really do.
Oh, Lacombo still a free agent?
This is my big one is Michael O'Connor. Ottawa born, Ottawa made. He played out in Cumberland. He went down to Penn State for a little bit, went up to UBC. Pretty sure won a Vanier Cup in his first year at UBC. This guy has talent. And if you're looking at a ratio breaker for a backup quarterback or a third-string quarterback,
no ratio breaker there.
It is because you can have him starting. And this is the thing. Him and Nathan
but
Rourke,
he doesn't. You don't get a Canadian spot if your quarterback's Canadian. It doesn't count.
True, but I mean it's okay. Paper-wise, it's not ratio breaking. But if you actually look at, if you were to say you're starting, like it's Brandon Bridge all over again. You look at Brandon Bridge starting, it's ratio breaking because now you have that extra Canadian that's playing. So people will look at it as, it's ratio breaking. Nathan Rourke and Michael O'Connor are two guys that deserve a shot in the CFL. The Calgary quarterback and the Montreal or Laval product that went to Montreal for their preseason or whatever, two other guys that deserve legitimate shots at camp for a quarterback position. You know, if I'm Ottawa, you want another, even if it's a camp arm or a third string quarterback, I would look, if he hits free agency, I would look at Michael O'Connor.
I would too. I mean, if you're talking about a third string quarterback, I think it's a very competent third string quarterback.
He could
you
even
can't really complain. You might even sell a couple jerseys with his name on it. Like it's not a bad move.
He could also fight Davis for a third, for that second string.
That I feel that Davis is going to be used in more of the Strevler role. I don't think if he gets into a game, it'll be to make a big throw, but I think they'll utilize his legs.
That's
more
fine.
than anything.
So you're going to tell here's a legitimate question. If you have a guy, you have your player A, player B. Player A is more of a runner. His arm is decent, but it's not the greatest.
You're talking about Davis, by the way?
Pardon?
Are you talking about Davis here? Because I don't know if I'd describe Dominic Davis's arm strength as average.
I mean, I'm saying it's like around average or below. It's not above average.
No, I think it's above that. I think the accuracy struggles at times, but I think his arm strength is 100% there.
Okay, if you want to throw it 50 yards, cool. But if you want to hit the broad, if you want to hit a receiver 25 yards downfield, it's not going to happen.
See, this is the issue, though. I don't think last year does a good job at being able to give you a
No, but seeing him in Winnipeg, it does. But I'm not basing it on. I'm basing it on what I saw in Winnipeg. We saw a lot of the same things in Winnipeg. He didn't throw it very deep very often. And in a total passer role, Michael O'Connor is better than Dominic Davis. Michael O'Connor in a strictly passing ability, he is, in my opinion, a backup quarterback in this league. Okay, and I think if you were to if Michael O'Connor swallowed his pride and didn't have the issues he had in Penn State, he would be in the NFL right now.
That's possible. I don't know. I don't think we've seen enough out of him at the CFL level for me to say that I'm comfortable making him my backup quarterback yet.
Are you comfortable with Nathan Rourke being a backup quarterback, though?
No. And I think...
Because you were when he was drafted, and you were before the
No. I think he's a really intriguing prospect, and I think he can be really good. Am I going to hand over the keys if my starting quarterback gets hurt to him or to Michael O'Connor right now? No. I would really like to have a good veteran like a Dominic Davis or a Jeremiah Mazzoli or somebody else there that can take that load. And if it turns out that one of those two guys is better and he fights and he earns his spot, and the other guy struggles a little bit in the game, then I'll do it. But not until.
That's what I'm saying. Is that Michael O'Connor has a chance to fight Dominic Davis for the second spot.
But so let's say, for example, Arbuckle's your starter, Davis is your backup, and then O'Connor's your third. Davis, if Arbuckle gets hurt, the first person that's hitting the field is Dominic Davis. I don't care what's happening
early
in
in the season, 100%.
Yeah, well, it depends what happens in practice. I'm not comfortable yet to say that Davis would get outplayed in practice.
I mean, with Paul LaPolice, it's always hard to say, really. You really don't know what to expect from the guy.
He could just straight up start Dominic Davis week 1 if he wanted to.
And nothing anything that Maurice does will not cut. I've learned to expect the unexpected from LaPolice. We saw it with his offense. No one was expecting Strevler to start, and whatever. Like, no one expected anything like that. So I think in terms of Ottawa, the backup quarterback position is wide open. I don't think Davis is a lock for it. He's penciled in. He's probably the favorite to do so. But I think if you were to come in and have a strong enough camp, you could overtake Davis as the second string quarterback relatively early in the season.
I think so too, but I think he'd still get his reps. Because, again, I asked him.
Sorry to interrupt.
I've asked LaPolice a couple times if he saw Davis in potentially a Chris Strevler role, and he said he could see it, and it's something that he's certainly interested in doing.
I mean, I don't blame him, but here's the thing. If let's say O'Connor signs with Ottawa on February 9th at 12:01, LaPolice already has this system because LaPolice will be the play caller.
Yes.
Davis has to come into camp. He should, especially if Arbuckle doesn't come in for whatever reason. Any quarterback they bring in entering this season should be miles behind Davis and Arbuckle in terms of learning the plays. So,
Arbuckle's been here the whole time.
But so is Davis.
Yes, but he's had Paul LaPolice as a coach the same amount of time that Dominique Davis has.
That's what I'm saying, though. But they've had the playbook. Mm-hmm. The playbook isn't going to change.
No.
So they should technically know the plays off by heart by the time training camp has started.
Unless they should have known them already.
But that's what I'm saying, though, is that if you were to bring in Michael O'Connor, Dominic Davis, and Nick Arbuckle, right, like in camp, whenever it opens, I think middle of May, Dominic Davis and Nick Arbuckle should be the two players that run away with camp. There should be no one touching them.
Mm-hmm.
So if Michael O'Connor comes into camp and somehow outshines Davis or Arbuckle in this matter because they're both relevant, you start O'Connor. You put O'Connor over one of the two. Because if he's outshining them 4 months after signing, and they've had a full, year and a bit to learn the playbook, that really tells you what you're getting out of the player.
I don't know.
Here's the thing. Okay,
I don't think it matters who plays better than Nick Arbuckle in camp. Arbuckle's the starting quarterback.
Maybe, but I'm just saying that if he comes into camp and he performs better than Davis, well, he gets the second string. You're not going to play a guy ahead of someone because of tenure. That's just stupid. You're not.
But I'm also. I don't know. I just have a tough time putting that young of a quarterback in a spot like that in the CFL.
He's been in the league long enough. He should. Sometimes you just got to throw them in.
Okay, let's move on because we got like 15 minutes to get through the rest of the teams. Winnipeg's up next. They really don't have much left to re-sign. I'm going to be honest with you. Like, Kenny Lawler might be the best player on the top half of the list. Justin Medlock is still out there. Daniel Peterman should be a guy that they want to bring back. And if they don't, I think Peterman might be a little bit of an underrated pickup somewhere. And then the rest, Lucky Whitehead, maybe the best player on the list. So Winnipeg's got like everything done.
Yeah, I mean, they got their biggest question mark. I think realistically, Jefferson was their biggest question mark.
Andrew Harris.
I think Andrew Harris was just like, I don't see in a CFL. I don't see him being anywhere but Winnipeg anymore.
No, but so, I mean, he did he not say that he was content to go year to year until he decides to retire with Winnipeg?
Yeah, but I mean, I think him being back in Hamilton or in Winnipeg makes the most sense.
Yeah.
So I'm not even.
What else was he going to do? Like he said he's got like the stuff's going on for him there. They just won a championship. Adam Big Hill's back. He's back.
100%. But I'm just saying that,
their
like,
quarterback, they think so. They're happy to go on another run if they can.
But that's what I'm saying though, is I don't really see Harris being like their biggest issue. Harris was going to be back no matter what. I think Justin, there was a legitimate issue or a legitimate possibility that Justin Jefferson wasn't going to be back in Winnipeg.
The one that honestly I don't think we're talking enough about is Justin Medlock. Other than Lewis Ward the last 2 years, like he's been the best kicker in the league.
Kickers are replaceable, unfortunately.
They are, but is Justin Medlock like where's he gonna go? Where do you think he's going?
He may like I would say the NFL, but the NFL doesn't know a good kicker if it hit him in the head.
Yeah, I don't. How's he not in the NFL, man?
How is Lewis not in the NFL?
He's too short. They tell him he's too short every time.
That's stupid. That is straight up bull.
I've always said if you can kick a football, you can kick a football. It doesn't matter where you're kicking it. And people say, "Oh, but they have the tee." Well, then kick without it. They can't,
I don't think the CFL uses the tee for field goals.
They use the 1 inch.
Oh, the black thing, yeah.
But like, really, how different can it be? I don't know.
Cool, you can practice without the tee. It's not that hard.
Look, yeah, if you can kick a ball through the uprights, you can kick a ball through the uprights. That's more than Cody Park, you can say. And yet he's got a job.
The fact that Richie Leone was on the practice squad where there were some punters that just couldn't pump for the life of them.
I don't know. I don't get it. I don't get it.
My big question is Saskatchewan. Charleston Hughes, Cameron Judge.
I don't think they're gonna pay Charleston, man. I think he's gone.
I don't think so either. I think he's gone. But they brought back Shaq Evans. Great. They brought back Jake Hardy. They brought guys back.
Solomon Elimimian is still a free agent for them as well.
John Ryan, you can, as a punter, who cares? But yeah, you brought back Nick Marshall, which is great. But yeah, you have Dion Lacey, Cameron Judge, Otha Foster. Here's some pretty big names that could not be in the green and white next year.
And just big parts of their team the year before, right?
If you lose, for whatever reason, let's say they lose Cameron Judge, Solomon Elimimian, and Charleston Hughes. You lose all three of those guys, I don't care how good your offense is, you're not going to win games.
Exactly. And who's going to get Charleston Hughes?
Honestly, you know who I think he goes to? He'll either go back to Calgary or he's going to Edmonton.
Hamilton?
No, I don't see him coming out east.
Really?
Also, don't see him fitting in with their current rotation of players. I don't see him fitting in with who they have. Being able to get that's a lot of guys in the front seven to make it work. I don't see Hamilton being interested in Charleston.
I think
they'd be more interested in Cameron Judge, but I don't see Charleston going out east.
I see an East team picking them up.
If it is, it's most likely going to be Toronto or Montreal.
That's what I'm thinking too.
As much as I love Ottawa and I hope they would, we
don't get the high profile guys.
I think his relationship with guys in Montreal and Toronto are greater than what he has in Ottawa right now.
Probably. And it's just not Marcel Desjardins' thing to go get the high profile guy. He's never done it.
But we've never had
his pickups. All of his pickups have been kind of the under the radar guy that. Well,
technically no, because you could argue Henry Burris free agency, Trevor Harris free agency. His career was
done. As far as everyone else was concerned, his career was done.
Yeah, but you got Trevor Harris, you brought him in on free agency. Craig Ellingson, you brought in on free agency.
But he wasn't a big deal. Sinopoli wasn't a big deal either.
No, but Ellingson definitely was. Ellingson was definitely a big deal. Ernest Jackson was a big deal. 100% he was. In Hamilton, Ellingson was one of their top best receivers when he was in Hamilton.
Yeah. I don't know.
There's a reason why he was ahead of
there's been a
Banks
couple,
he was ahead of Banks on the depth chart for a reason.
well, a lot of guys were ahead of Brandon Banks when they wouldn't use him as a receiver.
True.
But, like, obviously there's a couple of examples, but when was like the last time you went and got a guy who was like truly the best player at his position in the league?
Well, I mean,
'Cause I don't
most
think
of the
it
time those guys aren't necessarily available.
Or
If you're
the
going to talk about the best player available at the position at free agency, we signed him last
maybe
summer.
Cleon Lang?
Yeah, Cleon Lang. Technically, if you really want to get like technical about certain things, we still added guys like Chris Williams, who was a high-profile player. Like, he has done it. It just needs to make sense for him.
Yeah, I just don't know. Like, I would love it. I would love it, but how much sense does it make to give a 35-year-old defensive end a ton of money? By the way, I just want to say, Josh Anderson's a tank.
I'm fully aware.
Absolute tank.
But I don't know. I think, and that's the thing, is that how much do you want to pay Charleston? That's a different question. Personally, I would love Cameron Judge. I think he would look great in Ottawa. But I don't know. I think Charleston ends up in Edmonton. I think he joins Derek and J-Rose.
The big fish shopping just doesn't end for Edmonton if they do that, man. Holy God.
Hey, they're going for a Grey Cup, and I don't blame them.
Let's skip on over to Calgary here. And they have a lot of guys that haven't been re-signed. Brandon Dozier's one of them, one of their bigger ones. Montel Cozart, who in my article that I wrote last September, may have actually been earlier, I said that he was on my list of guys that could make the leap to starting quarterback if they get the opportunity. And he was listed as like kind of my long shot. As for other guys, Michael Klukas, I guess you can throw in there. Cordero Law.
Michael Klukas is surprising, but also not. He's Canadian. Probably won't take a lot of money to re-sign him.
No.
Ronnie Pfeffer. The big one. Again, not overly surprising.
No.
I think the big one, though, is Cordero Law.
Oh, Eric Rogers is what I was going to say.
I think here's the thing. We've seen receivers step up. We've seen Bo Levi perform without top-end receivers.
Yeah,
We've seen it before.
We said the same thing.
Like,
we said the same thing with Tom Brady, right? We said, he can make anybody look good. And then what did the Patriots do at some point? They gave him nothing to work with, and he couldn't make it work.
But he did make it work.
Not when they lost the Titans. They were awful.
Yeah. I mean, I agree to that. But, I mean, to be fair, this is the same Titans team that, like, almost handed KC a loss. So, like, but here, and this is the thing with Tom Brady.
He sucks.
He went to Tampa, who, if you put any competent quarterback in that position with that team, and this is the thing that I hate about Tom Brady, and this is why I will never declare him the GOAT, because he's not. His winning season have always had a top 5 defense. The Bucs are a top 5 defense. Last time he won the Super Bowl with he lost with the Eagles. The defense that played the Eagles were top 5, and they lost. I just don't think that Brady's the GOAT in the NFL, but that's a different topic. Bo Levi has won a championship with a below-average receiving core.
He has. And he'll do it again.
Like,
I think at some point, you're just not going to be able to produce your Reggie Bagleton or your Jawan Brescison, and you're going to need your Eric Rogers.
But here's the thing. Everyone was worried about the pressure that Calgary lost on the defensive line when they lost Charleston to Saskatchewan originally. Cordero Law stepped up and became that missing piece.
Yep.
He made that extra leap. If you were to lose Cordero Law and not replace him, that is a huge hole in the middle of your front seven that has been huge on the run and huge on the pass. that I don't know if you can replace with guys who are on free agency. I think Cordero Law is a
Unless you brought
bigger.
back Charles Hughes.
Even then, Charleston Hughes is great on the outside, but if you can run it up the middle, there's no point. You don't have Singleton anymore, unless he for some reason comes back because the NFL's stupid.
He won't. He's set. He's figured out his whole deal there. He's not going away anytime soon.
Agreed, but I mean the NFL is pretty stupid. NFL is pretty dumb.
Yep.
So I don't know. I feel like Cordero Law is a bigger signing or a bigger need of signing than Eric Rogers at this point. Because here's the thing, Nataya J is a free agent. Craig Ellingson's a free agent. There are receivers that should hit the open market. If Eric Rogers were to hit the open market, you could replace him or circle back to him because I don't know what the market for him would be.
Yeah. Well, as we approach the hour mark, let's zip off to Edmonton real quick. As we said, they've already kind of been big fish shopping with their Darrell Walker, Jonathan Rose, and Derek Dennis. But they are going to lose some things. Shaq Cooper still hasn't been re-signed. Vontae Diggs hasn't been re-signed. Greg Ellingson, as you mentioned. Where else are we? Logan Kilgore. So they still don't have a backup quarterback unless they want to go with Antonio Pipkin. What else we got? Justin Renfro, Sir Vincent Rogers,
Matthew O'Donnell,
Almondo Sewell.
They have some big names to sign.
They do, but they're not going to. Justin Tuggle's there as well. Sean White, that's another place that could be losing a pretty solid kicker. And I mean, you know what, Shane? Kickers aren't important until they miss a field goal. Yeah. Then all of a sudden they're pretty important.
Tavon Smith. They have some big names to sign.
I wonder too, if you go out and you do your big fish signing, which they do, that we all know they do that all the time, how much money do you have left to build a solid team around it? And that's the kind of the thing that plagued them in 2019. They signed their big players, and the big players just weren't enough. They got beat by a team that had better depth.
100%. My big thing, is I think the biggest loss here, if he does hit free agency, unless he retires, is Matthew O'Donnell. Big anchoring guy in the middle of the team, in the middle of that offensive line. It's hard to replace a guy like that. And if you're talking about, who will Calgary replace Bergman with? Well, if Matthew O'Donnell was on the...
That's your answer.
There you go. That easy replacement right there.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. If you're looking at some of these receivers, you can make a case that, hey, Craig Ellingson could be a replacement for Eric Rogers on a cheaper deal.
Does it not feel like Ellingson to Ottawa is going to happen here? Am I just dreaming this up, or does it feel like it's the reunion time?
I think it's going to be the talk until he signs somewhere else.
I'm just kind of looking at what Ottawa is missing at receiver, and obviously it's something. They need something else. Does it not feel like he's that kind of player they need?
I don't know. I mean, you brought Sanders back.
Well, that's it. Before it was your deep threat you were missing, and you needed that deep threat very badly, but you have it with Jalen Saunders. I don't really know how much more you need another inside guy. But bringing the buds back together, I
don't know, man. If you plan on using Coombs as an inside guy,
but Coombs can be used anywhere. He can be used as a receiver out of the running back position if you want him to.
Agreed. I just think that maybe you bring it back with Sinopoli. We would all love to see. Does it make sense for him? Probably not.
It does if the money's right.
Yeah, but I feel like you can go to a team like BC. You have a great relationship with Rick Campbell. You could probably go to Montreal or Toronto. I think the situation in Ottawa doesn't favor him.
I don't know. I maybe it's just that I want it to happen, but I feel like it's something that is legitimately possible here.
I would love for Craig Ellingson to come back to Ottawa, but I just don't see it being a possibility. Unless they have a guy like Saunders who is like, yeah, I want out. Or,
Well, he just re-signed, so I don't think he's going to want out now.
No, but I'm just saying, like, COVID and whatnot, they've changed their mind. They're going to opt out. I would not be surprised to see Ellingson not signed until closer to training camp.
Nah, that's tough. I think he'll be off the board pretty quick, to be honest with you.
I don't know. I mean, again, he could. I think it really depends on the situation that he's going to. If Toronto calls, I think Toronto's the perfect spot for him.
I can see that too. One of the people that could be standing in the way of that, though, let's pivot off to BC quick. Brian Burnham, one of their big ones, of course, that should be in pretty high demand this offseason.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking at a top three of receivers, I think Burnham and Rogers fight head to head quite often in that category.
Yeah. What else we got? Jonathan Newsom, who
he'll stay.
Yeah,
he's not coming back to Ottawa. That's for sure.
No, Chris Rainey, Brandon Rutley, John White. That's really it that they've got left.
I mean, the big one is definitely Burnham.
Yeah, well, and it looks like nothing's happening there. From what's been going around lately, it looks like he's going to free agency.
Yeah, it sounds like him and Rogers. We could easily see Rogers and Burnham switch sides. Rogers goes to BC with Burnham going to Calgary.
That might be an upgrade for Calgary.
Oh, 100%. And this isn't a shot at Eric Rogers. I think Eric Rogers is a great
He's fantastic.
And I mean, there's arguments on both sides of which one's better. They both have great qualities. They both have their flaws. They both have their pros, whatever. I just think that, Burnham fits Calgary's system better than he fits BC's right now.
Agreed. Burnham's also that kind of guy that I think could go anywhere. Anywhere he wants to go. We'll gladly take him. Maybe other than like Hamilton and Edmonton. I think even anywhere he wants to go.
I mean, okay, if he's saying anywhere that he wants to go, I think any of the 9 teams will take him. Financially, though, if you're looking at a team that could financially keep him, probably only looking at like 3 or 4.
Who do you think?
I think you're looking at Ottawa. I think you can, Ottawa and Calgary are the two top teams, in my opinion, that could probably at least put in a serious offer. Toronto is definitely one of them. Yep. If you're going to give me a top 3 of where he's going to go, it'd be Toronto, Ottawa, Calgary.
I have a weird feeling that Montreal is where Burnham ends up.
I don't know. Do you really need you have Eugene Lewis. Do you really need another big body receiver?
Why not?
I think Eric Rogers is more likely to go to Montreal than
I could see that too.
Like Rogers is a guy I can see working with Vernon Adams more than Burnham.
To me, Burnham ends up either in Montreal or Toronto.
Yeah, I mean Winnipeg is definitely still in play here.
Could be. That's an interesting.
Winnipeg is a dark horse for a lot of these receivers.
I think so. That's a good point.
Like I think. Maybe if they can make the money work, you're coming off a Grey Cup. Most of your core is intact. So I don't think
is this the longest somebody's held the Grey Cup since World War II?
I believe so, yes. It will be the longest.
Crazy.
Hey, I mean, it is what it is, right?
Unfortunately.
But yeah, free agency is going to be crazy.
Yeah. And we're hoping to have some experts on at some point, some players. as players sign, we're going to reach out to them and see if they want to come on. Eric Rogers, if you happen to be in our chat tonight too.
Yeah, yeah. I reached out to Eric Rogers. He's a nice guy.
Yeah, good. Sounds fantastic.
But free agency is going to be crazy.
Yeah.
Free agency is going to be nuts.
Yeah.
But I mean,
I hope so. Because I don't think
free agency like the first day is going to be crazy, but I think the first week will be because I don't think you can talk to players until free agency starts.
Technically, but we all know what happens.
Yeah, like by the CBA, they've eliminated that window, so players won't be able to start talking to other clubs until like 12 o'clock on February 9th. Yeah. Probably won't see many signings until later in the day, probably around like 2 o'clock, if at any. We're probably more likely to see a lot of re-signs than anything.
Yeah, and I don't know. We might have some kind of free agency show maybe once we figure out what's going on with work schedules and stuff. Because this is not our full-time job, believe it or not.
Yeah, I mean, trust me, if it was, it'd be a lot more professional.
Yes. We'd probably have a studio as well.
Oh, yeah. We'd be in a studio. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
But, hey, before we head off, is it Super Bowl Sunday or is it next week that's Super Bowl Sunday?
That's next week.
I couldn't remember if they took the week off in between or just went straight into it.
Yeah, we got the Pro Bowl this week being streamed by EA Sports Madden, so I can't wait for that. It's going to be fantastic.
Garbage.
Did Josh Allen make the Pro Bowl or no?
Pardon?
Did Josh Allen make the Pro Bowl?
I don't think so. I haven't seen any of the Pro Bowl.
Rigged. That's rigged.
I think he did. We're finding out right now. I think it was him, Mahomes, and I want to say it was like Carr or something, but I can't. Or Phillip Rivers, might be mistaken. I don't know. I haven't paid much attention to the NFL because it's been kind of garbage the last couple of weeks.
Hey, ooh, the Bills got 5. Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, Tre'Davious White, Tremaine Edmonds.
I mean, that makes sense. Fucking, you can make an argument Stephon Diggs was like the best receiver this year.
He was the best receiver this year.
Like, now, does it continue next year? Who knows? According to a lot of people, Allen should be traded for Deshaun Watson.
What?
Yeah, have you not heard that?
People are suggesting that?
Oh, yeah, I've seen it on Twitter. I don't know how serious it is.
Why would the Bills do that?
I don't know. Chicago fans are like, oh, yeah, we should trade for Watson. You could have just drafted him. You could have drafted the guy instead of wasting a pick on a one-year starter out of North Carolina, Mitch Trubisky.
Oh, he made a Pro Bowl.
Fuck, who cares? We should all know Pro Bowls are a joke. I'd rather be, win Super Bowls. Because guess what? If you make a Pro Bowl and go to a Super Bowl, you get replaced.
Yeah.
I'd rather be first team. I'd rather have 10 first team nods over 10 Pro Bowl nods. I'd rather play a 10-year career with 10 first team or all team nods over a Pro Bowl nod. 100%.
Yeah. Well, people, the All Pro means more to a player than a Pro Bowl. Especially this year's Pro Bowl, man. Josh Allen makes a Pro Bowl and it's played Madden. Like, who cares?
Yeah, Deshaun Watson was the other quarterback.
Wow. With that team?
I mean, to be fair,
he made a Pro Bowl with that team? That's crazy.
I mean, he was like top 5 in passing, I'm pretty sure.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's incredible he made a Pro Bowl with that roster. You traded the best receiver in football for a running back who needs knee braces on his knee braces. I'm
surprised that the Steelers even have any offensive players named.
Well, you know who didn't make it? Ben Roethlisberger. Surprise.
Yeah, because he was. Did you hear what was going to happen to him?
What?
He either restructures his contract or he's not on the team next year.
Well, does that surprise you?
Not at all. But I'm just saying.
Going to be the starting quarterback next season?
Drew Stafford.
Matt Ryan. Put money on it.
Better than Ben Roethlisberger.
Put money on Matt Ryan right now going to Pittsburgh.
It's either him or Drew Stafford.
I think Stafford's headed to Indianapolis.
Who knows at this point?
Stafford to Indianapolis, Matt Ryan to Pittsburgh. Either Matt Ryan or Sam Darnold. One of those two. But I think Sam Darnold will go back to Houston when the Jets get Watson.
Oh, 100%. And then obviously TJ Watt being named as outside linebacker.
Yeah.
Pretty sure he was named Defensive Player of the Year today, but I don't know how accurate that is.
He shouldn't have been. Josh Allen should have been named Defensive Player of the Year.
What?
Yeah. That's just how good Josh Allen is.
Yeah, sure.
Josh Allen's so good that he should have been named Defensive Player of the Year, I tell you. He should have been named Coach of the Year, too.
Okay, yeah, he better have been friggin' put on. I don't know how. I don't agree with that.
All right, let's wrap it up.
Chase Young should definitely be starting over Brandon Ingram.
Yes.
Fuck that.
All right, let's wrap her up here. Get out of here.
I know, because you want to go watch Montreal continue to beat up on Calgary.
I really do.
But yeah, that's all, folks, today. Thank you all for joining us. Hope you enjoyed the episode. We will get back into a groove of it. It's been a while since we've done these. I know we've done it for our hockey ones. That's not an issue. But CFL, it's been a little while without the CFL. So thank you all for joining us. Thank you all for listening. You can catch us back here next week with a brand new episode. You can follow myself, Shane_Ryan97, Frankie HPR_Frankie13. Check out our respective hockey podcasts. Sens_Hour on Twitter and Instagram. And Frankie, it's Hockey Prospect Reports podcast. Check them out. Check out our website, all the articles, whatnot. Check out our Redbubble page. You know the drill. Follow us on YouTube, like, comment, share, everything. You let us know, 5 stars, all that fun stuff. Have a good one, guys. We'll catch you back here next week.